Hello, welcome to A Few Minutes with Habakkuk. I'm Buddy Pennington, pastor of Westville Assembly of God in Holmes County, Florida. This is lesson number 3 and part 1 of our study of the Old Testament prophet. We're going to be reading to you from Habakkuk chapter number 3 and verses 1 through 6. Allow me to do that for you now. I'll be reading from the New Living Translation. This prayer was sung by the prophet Habakkuk. I have heard all about you, Lord. I am filled with awe by your amazing works. In this time of our deep need, help us again as you did in years gone by. And in your anger, remember your mercy. I see God moving across the deserts from Edom, the Holy One coming from Mount Paran. His brilliant splendor fills the heavens, and the earth is filled with his praise. His coming is as brilliant as the sunrise. Rays of light flash from his hands where his awesome power is hidden. Pestilence marches before him, plague follows close behind. When he stops, the earth shakes. When he looks, the nations tremble. He shatters the everlasting mountains and levels the eternal hills. He is the Eternal One. Now, the final chapter of Habakkuk is a song of praise that we will be dividing into 3 parts. The first part is a description of the supremacy of God as seen through the perspective of the prophet. He uses metaphor and figurative language to try to explain the majesty of the God of Israel. Now, because he has heard of God's great works in the past when God came to the aid of Israel, Habakkuk asks for that help and that mercy once again. He states he is in awe of God and what he is able to do. Then he attempts to describe the arrival of God by comparing him to a sunrise. Now, he talks about the brilliance of the sunrise shining across the desert as it appears above a mountain. Habakkuk then talks about God's power emanating from his hand like brilliant sun rays. As God moves in his anger, pestilence marches before him like a forward guard of an army, and plague follow behind him to bring up the rear. When God stops to bring his force to bear, earthquakes shake the earth, destroying the mountains and leveling the hills that have always stood ever since mankind has been around. God is the Eternal One, and nothing else can remain before him. If you've been outside early in the morning and witnessed the rising of the sun, you can imagine how it is that Habakkuk chose to compare the presence of an arrival of God to the brilliance of a sunrise. God's light and his power dispel all the darkness that could possibly exist anywhere. He outshines every other power and does so in such a way as to make it very obvious that he is the omnipotent, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-present, supreme one above any other being. One day God is going to send Jesus Christ to come back to take his church to be with him forever in his presence. After that happens, he's going to pour out his wrath on mankind. He came to punish wickedness in the days of Habakkuk, and he's going to come into our modern world and do the same kind of thing. He has promised he will not let wickedness and evil always exist. He will punish it. Allow me to encourage you to put your trust in Jesus Christ before God decides to send his wrath against the evil ones in our day. It's our prayer that these Bible studies will be a blessing to you. If you have questions or comments, feel free to leave those in the comments sections following the lesson. I encourage you to subscribe to our website so that you can receive notices when we have new posts. I also invite you to visit our Facebook page, which is Westville AG at 2513 Cypress Street. May God richly bless you until the next time when we get together for a few minutes with Habakkuk.